All right guys, so I can't be the only one that was pretty surprised when this drone got released. DJI basically just took my favorite drone, the Mavic Air 2, and threw an absolutely amazing camera in it. So this is everything that is new with the DJI Mavic 2S. We now have a brand new 1-inch sensor, 20 megapixel still images from this, 5.4K video, 4K 60 at 150 megabits per second. We also have a brand new sensor up top for 4-way obstacle detection, a new version of OcuSync 3.0 for a longer range, and Active Track 4.0. So I did make a video going over every new drone that DJI has on the market, so you can go ahead and check that out there. I'll link to it. And if you don't see it yet, go ahead and subscribe. Stay tuned, we'll have some awesome stuff coming up. One thing I use my drone for all the time is actually tracking. So I'm in situations like this, I want to do some solo filming, and I want the drone to not hit any of these hundreds of trees out here by itself. So we'll see how it does. Fingers crossed we don't actually crash it. Let's go. So I was actually pretty impressed with how well it tracked me in that one and managed to avoid every tree and obstacle perfectly, which is really good. I would say the only negative for me is that it only works with people and cars. And there were a couple times where I was a little further away and it didn't see me as a person. So in those situations, you can use some of the other tracking modes, but it won't actually follow you. So you have to be pretty close to you for it to think that you're either a person or a car. So this has absolutely everything that I loved about the original Air 2. It's crazy small, super lightweight, has an awesome range, and now there is a huge difference in camera quality. I think the people that should 100% go buy the Air 2S today are going to be photographers. This was definitely the thing that I talked about the most with the original Air 2. It was an awesome drone, but the image quality, it was basically smartphone quality, and honestly not even as good as a lot of smartphones out there. But now, with a 1-inch sensor, 20 megapixels, quality is actually solid. Plus, DJI is still bringing some smartphone-like features like Smart Photo that uses scene recognition and deep learning to give you better images, but essentially this is now every bit as good, if not better, than the Mavic 2 Pro for photographers. Now, if you're a video shooter, things are a bit more interesting. So first of all, on paper, this does not seem like a huge upgrade over the original Mavic 2 Air. I mean, the Air 2 already shoots 4K and even 4K 60. So the main difference is having 5.4K as an option, which it doesn't seem all that important. I mean, how many of us really need 5K? But the more I dug into this, the more of a difference there seemed to be. So first of all, 5K looks great because it is using the entire sensor, and this is a larger sensor on this drone, and the quality here is awesome. I could also see the difference between this 5K mode and using the standard 4K mode, though I did have to zoom in quite a bit to really notice this difference. Also, it's pretty crazy, but 5K actually looks better when I cropped in post to using any of the internal cropping modes of the drone itself. So honestly, just shoot 5K, and whatever cropping you need to do it in post. Also, 4K 60, which I use a ton to get slow motion, it does have a crop, probably because of its larger sensor. However, the last generation Air 2 did not have a crop in 4K 60. So essentially there is no big advantage to this larger sensor of a 2S if you're shooting 4K 60, except I actually like a crop when shooting slow motion. Usually I'm tracking an object with a standard lens that's just a little bit too wide. So anytime I use slow motion, I typically like to crop in a little bit more. So for me, if you're doing that and you like to crop when using 4K 60, there is a huge advantage to the 2S. So plain and simple, the new standout feature is the camera. In fact, if you aren't looking for the best camera in the smallest drone, this probably isn't for you. Lucky for me, that's exactly what I wanted, and the DJI Air 2S is by far the best option for both of those. Now, as good as this drone is, there are still a few missing features that DJI has reserved for their higher end Mavic 2 Pro. Most notably is going to be aperture control, but you know, for most of us, what you're going to want to do is save the $600, get yourself some good ND filters, and pick up the Air 2S because it is such an amazing drone. So definitely let me know what you guys think of the drone so far. Appreciate you guys hitting like, subscribe if you haven't already. Bunch more videos with this drone, so go ahead and check that out. And I hope you guys are doing amazing. I'll see you soon in a new video.